My name's Davida Shinsky, and you're listening to Live Without Limits Dreams Come True with the Right Mindset. And today, our presentation is the 10 practical things that you can do to improve your communication skills. Tony Robbins says, communication is power. Those who have mastered its effective use can change their own experience of the world and the world's experience of them. All behavior and feelings find their original roots in some form of communication. Miscommunication can quickly be the death of any relationship, and you've likely heard before that improving your communication is essential for healthy relationships. But how can you do that? Are there books or other tools that you can use? In this presentation, we're going to dive headfirst into interpersonal communication and how you can improve your interpersonal skills. So let's start with the basics. What is good communication? Good communication comes down to a variety of factors. And yes, it's up to both the message giver and receiver to make communicating effective. Essentially, healthy communication is the ability to communicate in a clear and honest way, helping you navigate conflict and convey your feelings, all while considering the receiver's feelings as well. Yet it's not just about being said, or rather, what's being said. The listener should use active listening to receive the message being said. This means alternately listening to the message being conveyed and not thinking about the knee-jerk response. Remember, communication consists of the words you're saying, active listening, and the body language that you're using while you're listening to someone. You want the first to understand. From there, okay, let's go back and say this again. You want to be the first to understand. From there, you should reflect, then respond. Sometimes the response involves a simple acknowledgement. Other times, it requires something a little bit more in depth. When it comes down to it, being a better communicator is about improving your listening skills and improving your ability to express yourself to others. So let's look at how you can do all of that. So, how to improve your communication skills. Interpersonal communication is called interpersonal communication because it's taking place between two people. Maybe you grew up in a family that was just bad at communicating, or you've picked up some bad habits along the way. Regardless, it's always a good idea to brush up on your communication skills and remind yourself of how to do so in a healthy and effective way. And it's important to again note it's between two people. Both parties involved have to be committed to improving communication for any relationship to work. It's a two-way stress. Now, with that in mind, here are 10 ways to improve your communication. 1. Practice active listening. Misunderstandings are all too common, yet many of these misunderstandings could be well avoided by simply listening. And this doesn't mean listening and responding with the first thing that people or pops into your head. It means active listening. As previously stated above, this means looking to understand the message being said rather than just reaching. If you don't understand after some reflection, it can help to ask questions. More on this later. 2. Take into account who you're talking to. Is it your mom, a mentor, your significant other? Those differences matter, and not in the way that you might think. Just because you've had a bad day, that doesn't mean that you have leeway to say whatever you want to your significant other. They have feelings too, but knowing your audience can help you convey your message in a way that the other person will understand, which is undeniably important when talking or trying to solve a problem with others. 3. Pay attention to your body language. If you're speaking nicely, but your arms are crossed and you're frowning, this probably won't come off how you intended. Your body language matters also. In most cases, talking with your legs and arms uncrossed and maintaining a neutral expression can help navigate through and also avoid someone else from interpreting the opposite of your intention. Ask questions. Not sure what someone else meant? Are you making assumptions? These are good questions to ask yourself. Then, once you have the answers, you'll want to probe the other person. What do they mean when they said such and such? Ask. Assumptions never help anyone. 5. Think before you talk. Many of us are very reactive creatures, and if you tend to respond without thinking, this is your sign to take a breath. Acknowledge you heard the other person and take a moment to think about your response. This also is why it's never best to dig into conflict in a rush. Thinking over what you're going to say can help you course correct. This means that you can determine the possible outcomes, decide what you want the outcome to be, and try to make that outcome happen through the words that you choose. The same goes for text, conversations, or email. Always read over what you're about to say before pressing send. 6. Be specific. Generated statements tend to confuse people. Thus, the more specific, the better. Instead of saying that thing, name the object. If you're recalling an event, be specific about the when and where. Again, the more info, the better. At least this is true in most cases. In some situations, being overly specific, such as during an argument, can come off as blaming, which usually doesn't help with reaching a solution or getting a message across. Use this one wisely. Remain positive and optimistic. 7. This is basically a rule of life in general. If you've ever heard the law of attraction, you might know that most of the time you get what you put out into the world. If you're giving someone rude vibes, chances are they might be rude back to you. Going in with positivity and optimism, we probably give you the same back. Try it out. Make eye contact. Eye contact is part of the whole body language side of things with good and effective communication. Yet you don't want to be giving too much. You want just enough to show the trustworthiness and credibility. Generally, you want to maintain eye contact for about 50% of the time that you speak, for about 4 to 5 seconds each time. 9. Don't bring up past conflicts. This is mostly to do with disagreements. And you probably run into this one a few times before. When has it ever helped to bring up past conflicts or disagreements? Basically, never. Stick to the topic on hand and avoid arguments. Tangents just confuse and muddle things. 10. Use when you blank. I feel blank statements. This is another great communication technique when experiencing disagreements. Use this as your template to convey your feelings without blaming the other person. Rather, it indicates that they influence how you felt, but it doesn't put full balance on them. Instead, it helps them to understand. So use effective communication techniques. And all right, so you've got 10 ways to communicate better. What else is there? Try using the 7 C's of communication: clear, correct, complete, concrete, concise, consideration, courteous. Additionally, practicing empathy can go a long way. This means being able to understand and share the feelings of another. This can especially help you with personal communication so that you can more clearly understand one another and avoid stepping on to one another's feelings. So the tools to improve your communication skills. What else can you turn to for improving your communication skills? Well, here's some books to read. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Crucial Conversations by Kerry Patterson. You're Not Listening by Kate Murphy. Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. Alternately, there are also a variety of podcasts outlining effective communication techniques. So grab little snippets each day from them and try them out in action. So start communicating effectively today. Effective and good communication isn't a secret. There are endless resources to choose from. After learning a bit more about it, the next step is taking action. Use the above tips to improve communication in the workplace and at home, because things start getting so much easier when communication is crystal clear. And the biggest problem you find in almost any relationship is lack of communication. Therefore, that is something that is so important for you to be aware of and learn, whether you're speaking to someone in the business world or whether you're talking to someone in your personal life.